One of the most difficult and emotionally charged issues in policing is the release of body-worn camera footage following officer-involved shootings. In Kansas and here in Topeka, there is no comprehensive state law or long-standing local practice that clearly governs public release of this footage. That lack of clarity has understandably created frustration, uncertainty, and at times mistrust. It's important to say this clearly. The ability to release body-worn camera video has existed under our labor agreement. Historically, that authority has been applied conservatively. We now have a clear policy and a shared understanding of how and when that authority should be exercised. After careful review, collaboration, and consultation, I believe we can and should move forward in a way that is thoughtful, lawful, and respectful of everyone involved. Today, I am announcing that the Topeka Police Department will release body-worn camera video related to 2 officer-involved shootings. Both of these incidents occurred prior to my tenure as chief. Moving forward, it is my intention that body-worn camera video from officer-involved shootings will be released in accordance with our newly established policy and in compliance with our current labor agreement, with the Fraternal Order of Police, and applicable city requirements. Kansas law already provides that individuals who are directly involved in an incident or certain designated family members or legal representatives have the right to request and view body-worn camera footage within a defined time frame. Under our new policy, the Topeka Police Department will proactively reach out to families or other authorized persons within 72 hours following an officer-involved shooting to offer an opportunity to view the video in the presence of the chief of the police and the appropriate city leadership. This practice builds on our existing process and is intended to demonstrate compassion and empathy for those most directly affected, while also respecting the investigative process and the rights of all involved. I want to be clear about my role in today's process. As chief of police, I have personally reviewed the investigative findings and body-worn camera footage for each of the 2 cases being released today. Based on that review, I support the findings of the completed investigations. That support is not political or performative. It reflects my professional judgment based on the facts, the law, and the totality of the evidence. At the same time, I recognize that video, especially in deadly force encounters, can be difficult to watch and difficult to interpret. Policing often requires officers to make life and death decisions in rapidly evolving, uncertain, and dangerous situations. Those realities must be acknowledged honestly, yet without defensiveness and without dismissal of community concerns. I support our officers when they act within the law and their training, and I support transparency when deadly force is used. These are not competing values. They are complementary ones. A professional police department must be able to do both. This new policy and these releases are not the end of the conversation. They are part of an ongoing commitment to trust, accountability, and continuous improvement. My promise to this community is simple. We will continue to listen, we will continue to learn, and we will continue to lead with integrity. At this point, I'd like to start opening up to some questions keep in mind that I'm not attempting to relitigate past cases. I did offer my support if you want to ask why. I want to put a lot of emphasis on the new policy going forward and transparency and accountability and those factors, but I'll entertain questions at this time.
What was the process like of facilitating the new policy?
Well, as I kind of said in my opening statement, it took about a year to get here. I've always been devoted to transparency and honesty and accountability and truth. So I had to figure out what that looked like here. What is the history of this that shapes both the police department and the community and where we've been? We have a long history, and it's something I had to delve into. And I also had to get buy-in and credibility from our officers to the elected leaders to the community to find out who I am and what I'm about. And I'm a collaborative person. I brought in CPAC members to help me craft a policy that I thought would be right for Topeka. So it's a lot of emotional labor coming into this, a lot of support, while realizing that this may not heal all wounds, but my vision going forward is to try and attempt to make a start at that.
Will the full video be posted online or just the edit?
You will, on the video, the question is, will the full video or the narrated videos? The narrated videos will be on there. The bandwidth and the videos for all those would be tremendous to put hours and hours of video. This is the national best practice. Our intent behind these videos is to tell the story in a meaningful way. Looking at body-worn camera video for over 31 years, it can be hard to watch, difficult. Even we, as evaluators, and we're analyzing videos, it takes hours and hours to play and replay. I don't think that best suits our, I think what the most community members want to see is a clear picture of what we're trying, what we're showing our work in a succinct way that I think is respectful of everyone.
Now you said you'll meet with the family within the 72 hours. When will that be released to the public?
The policy, it's Dana, let me give you the policy is already in play, and some of you should have it, the link, and I'm not exactly sure how we'll put that to the public, but
it's in the press release. I think she's asking when videos will be released to the public.
oh, okay, misunderstood that. The videos were released in accordance with the policy and the applicable FOP contract and the way the policy is written. Generally, it's going to be after the KBI investigation is completed, the administrative investigation is completed, and everything is done. Then 30 days after that, I will notify the involved officers and let them know that that's what we will be doing at that time.
Chief, could you speak to the timing of this press conference? It seems like there's a real focus on bad policing in America right now and on government overreach resulting in citizens being shot down in the street, not unlike the videos you watched here today. Is today's press conference some sort of political way for the Topeka Police Department to try to get ahead of that trend? Because it seems like there's been a lot of years that have gone by where this could have happened. Transparency and accountability could have happened, but we're all these years later, and then suddenly we have this press conference. So is there something that led to this timing outside of it being a political spectacle?
For those of you that have been with me the entire time, you know this has been a process. I'll reread some of my, one paragraph of my opening statement. Over the past year, I have spent a great deal of time observing, listening, and learning the community, learning this department, and learning about the history that shapes both. I believe that process has brought us to a point where we can take a meaningful step forward together. So this has been a process, a slow and deliberate process, because I intend for it to be permanent. That's why I included CPAC members. That's why collaboration was key. Collaboration takes time to get to this point. Building relationships takes time. Devoting emotional labor and capital, human capital to the process takes time. So this has been a year in the making to this point, not sudden.
Bella, you had a question?
I was already asked. Right at the beginning of you taking on this position, there was another officer-involved shooting. If I recall, you actually started early because of it. Will the footage from that be released?
Absolutely. With once the process that as outlined in the policy takes place, there also have to take into considerations fairness in the prosecutorial process as well. Working with the district attorney and cooperating when those processes are done to give people a due process in court and different things like that. But yes, starting from January 16th when I took office forward is when you will start seeing officer-involved videos.
It is not uncommon for Kansas police departments to release body cam footage. Is there something in this new policy that is unique, or is this simply Topeka getting with the times?
As I reiterated in my opening statement, we've always had that ability for some time. It's just forming a policy, a clear structure, and guidance to provide consistency going forward is what we needed.
Just for clarification, we have repeatedly been told that the city and the police department can't release body cam footage when these specific incidences have happened. So what's changed?
Me? When I got hired, I committed to being transparent, accountable, and open with what I do. So it took me a year to get here, and didn't do it alone. You have wonderful staff, those men and women in uniform back there. I couldn't have done this myself. Most of the work was not by me. I'm representing the work and the labor that's of love that's took place amongst police and community over the past year to get to this place. I can't speak for the past. I can speak for January 16, 2025 and above. And also would be remiss if I didn't point out the elected and city leaders and elected officials in the room who've shown support for my work and for the work of the Topeka Police Department.
Is this policy for all incidents or just serious or fatalities?
Officer-involved shootings where we intentionally point and discharge a firearm at a person.
I see in the policy that under public access, it talks about some restrictions, including shootings involved in private residences. Does that mean that if there is an officer-involved shooting in a private residence, that will not be released?
We'll have to cover the legal aspects as we go, but my intention is to be transparent within the limits of with the confines of the law. With things such as redaction, respectful of privacy concerns, juveniles, and of course keeping in consistent with whatever state and federal laws might dictate otherwise.
Got one more question.
Thank you, Chief Renee Host, for what you shared today. Of course, I'm a veteran citizen in this city, and you're right, over maybe about 30 years, we've seen this again and again. So today is maybe one of the first, so we can appreciate that. I did have a comment, and a question probably. I wanted to make sure, especially on the first video, maybe we can answer this later or now, was it redacted at any point? And then also, did the officer have to shoot that many times just because a weapon was displayed?
Right, you have two questions, right? Okay, the first one is...
But thank you again for after about 30 years, and we're having this kind of visual. And was it redacted at any point in any place in the video?
If you're asking about the video that you're seeing, there were redactions you've seen, they were documented in there. I wouldn't say redacted as in missing or omitting, but just appropriate redactions of faces, being sensitive to the persons that were killed in this case. We don't want to open up old wounds or disrespect family members by showing things unnecessarily. The videos that you see are enough to what we believe are enough to see the perspective and put in context of what the officer saw that day. As far as redactions, they're limited, they're documented, and within the law, and appropriate for what you're seeing on here. This is not a full rendition, otherwise we'd be here for a 2-day conference on looking at the videos from front to beginning. This is a national best practice to show the video this way. It helps put in context to tell a story, and let the community decide.
So it's not the full video. You just said that. Is that correct?
It's
Just wondered in that first one, would you consider that excessive force?
I support the findings.
To shoot someone that many times? I'm just asking you, do you consider that excessive force at all? To have to shoot someone that many times in the face? I'm curious.
Let me address you. Change your question. So let me go back to your original question about the.
Address my question?
No. Let me address the first time you asked it about the number of shots.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
We don't train a number of shots. We train to when the officer reasonably believes the threat has been stopped. Now that's in the eye of the officer, but we have Connor, Graham v. Connor to use as a guide, and that's a reasonable guide of what a reasonable police officer at the scene would do in the same situation. We have to give our officers some leeway because these are dynamic, rapidly evolving situations, so I can't give you a number. where, but we have to see what the officer articulates, and is it reasonable in the eyes of those that are analyzing it. That's what we know.
We'll take one more question.
Can you give us an idea of how many shots would be appropriate against a man that just has a small kitchen knife?
When the threat is
And
stopped.
is way away from the officers?
When the threat is stopped.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you all for coming.